scholars will argue that branding is the most important decision a business will make. And I think that this is interesting because everybody has a tendency to see the world from the perspective of their discipline. So as a marketer, I believe that marketing makes the world go round. Within the field of marketing, the subfield of branding, those people argue that brands make the world go around and that it's the most important decision that a business will make. I'm not sure that's true. I've known a lot of businesses, and I've taken several through bankruptcy, that had really great brands that still went broke as a result of the fact that they just, I don't know, didn't have a good product or something like that. But it certainly is important. Brands are important. We value brands. We can tell you what are the most valuable brands. Today, Coca-Cola has lost to Microsoft and Apple the #1 and 2 spot in branding. Forever and ever and ever, Coca-Cola was considered to be the most beneficial and most valuable brand in the world. In fact, Coca-Cola was so powerful as a brand that during the Carter administration, it came to be called the Coca-Cola Connection. Carter's Attorney General Bell had served as general counsel for Coca-Cola. His Office of Management and Budget Director had served on the board of directors of Coca-Cola. His Assistant Secretary of State had been president of Coca-Cola. Secretary of State Vance had served on the board of directors of Coca-Cola. And what was the first product we sent to communist China? Coca-Cola, right? It's an all-American product. So it was for a long time considered to be the most valuable brand. So brands are enormously important. So for today's critical thinking challenge, what I want you to answer is, what makes a brand great? Again, I want you to think about all of this stuff that we've learned throughout this semester and integrate it. So is it having a great product? What makes a brand great? Is it a great product, great service? Is it a great name? What characteristics make a brand great? Think about the brands that you like the most and come up with an answer as to what makes them great. And then defend your answer, and whoever wins today's challenge, of course, will get bonus points. So I'll give you about 10 minutes. To integrate all of this, and we'll come back and think about your answers. And then I'll tell you what scholars have said makes a brand great. All right, so what do you all think makes a brand like Coca-Cola great? What do you all come up with? Yes.
The added value the brand brings to the product and the constant product improvement. We also said that it doesn't have to be a great product, but it has to satisfy the needs of a large customer base.
Okay, so you all focused on the idea that the product really has to matter. You have to have a good product. If you just have a catchy name or something like that, that can come and go, but you actually have to have a product. So what has kept Coca-Cola, do you think, relevant all of these years in terms of the greatness of the product? Addiction? Okay. Affordability? All right. It is, at one time it did contain cocaine, so it was a descriptive brand of the product. They don't contain cocaine anymore. All right, what did you all come up with?
No, I was just going to comment on that.
Okay, go ahead.
I was just going to say it's the original, people got a thing with the original pioneer of what soda is.
You like the idea of something sort of traditional in terms of, I don't know, harkens back to memories? Is that what you're saying?
Well, I don't drink pop, so I don't really care either way. But I would say for people, they'd probably say like, oh, that's classic,
Okay.
instead of some new random crazy drink or something.
All right, yeah, it's amazing to me how people will say things like, they don't make them like they used to. Well, thank God, right? A lot of stuff has gotten a lot better, but we still have this idea of nostalgia and the classic, the idea of classic and, you know, the feel-good memories that things bring back from certain eras, that kind of power of memory, all right? What did you all come up with as what makes a brand great?
For what makes it good is that generally it's a good product because of the brand, and that you are more assured of the quality of the product because of the brand, and that it's generally consistent and has a competitive edge. And we give an example of it's more marketable to everyone, and it's even expanded to instead of just shoes, and do like clothing and headbands and all that stuff like that. So it's has a trademark.
Okay, so you think, I like the fact that you picked up on consistency, you think that brand gives some indication of quality? Okay, all right. What else? Who else came up with? Yes.
We said what makes a brand great is diversity, ingenuity, creativity, simplicity, a wide range of consumers, and making consumers feel like they're a part of something bigger. The example we used was celebrity endorsement. It's like the Doritos Super Bowl ads. How they come up every year, and you've had Doritos before, but when you see it on the Super Bowl every year, it just keeps it fresh.
Okay, with celebrity endorsement, did that backfire on the brand?
Good.
How so? Live strong. So Lance Armstrong, you know, said that he won all these, and it turns out that maybe he was involved in doping and things like that, that have led to a black mark on the Armstrong brand and anybody associated with it. Has it led to a black mark on cycling in general? Because basically when they took the title away from him, they didn't give it to anybody else because the next 50 guys in line were all doing the same thing. Did that hurt him? Do you think Tiger Woods lost a whole bunch of endorsements from the brand? Do you think, so you picked up on the celebrity aspect, do you think that Buick became more popular because, with your generation, because Tiger Woods, who's sort of a cool guy, or was until he cheated on his wife, endorsed Buick?
Yeah.
Do you think that that has any impact on Buick? I don't know. Okay, who else came up with it? Yeah.
Well, we were looking at companies like Gatorade, Coca-Cola, and we said that they were great because they were pioneers in what they did, or making something better, and also exposing its values through consistency and quality, having the ability to adapt to the marketplace demands and trends discovered through environmental scanning.
Okay, I like that. In terms of, like, the first, though, is Apple the first to make a cell phone? Who has the lion's share of the market in the smartphone market now? Apple's actually lost market share to what? Samsung. Who was the first to make a really marketable cell phone? Motorola. Anybody have a Motorola phone?
They have the Razr.
Yeah. Motorola came out with the bag phone. Anybody know what Motorola is anymore? Okay. Who else came up with something?
What we said makes a brand great is the brand personality. So you buying products that you can relate to makes the person feel unique or even sophisticated, depending on the item. For example, we use Rolex watches. They can make you feel sophisticated, popular, confident, and intellectual. So if you want to feel those things, you can go out and buy a Rolex watch. For Coca-Cola, we put it like family-oriented and traditional. So buying that, like you said earlier, with the whole it's the first thing, so traditional, and like these kind of values always comes out like at family events, like Christmas and Thanksgiving, stuff like that.
Right. So Coca-Cola particularly has great Christmas ads. Their first one that I remember as a little kid that you all probably have never seen is the "I'd like to teach the world to sing" with the people on the hillside and the formation of a Christmas tree. It was just iconic. It brought all of these really wonderful images of family and Christmas, and we all have this wonderful feeling of that time of year. And then the polar bears during Christmas, they're so cute, right? Polar bears are actually not that cute. They'll rip your head off. They're not like warm and cuddly. But, you know, it's a nice branding image. And so tradition, yeah, absolutely. I think that's a good point. Let's see.
We said uniqueness, consistency, transparency, product association, and also their marketing strategy. We said, like, Pepsi has really good commercials, but in reality, their product sucks. But, like, so it's like, they have a good brand because you know about Pepsi, but nobody likes Pepsi.
Why is it that Pepsi actually, for a long time, had a larger market share than Coca-Cola? What?
I did a taste test of the quantity and all that stuff.
Yeah, actually, people did prefer it in the taste test in small amounts, but Pepsi would make deals that Coke wouldn't make with restaurants. And then, of course, PepsiCo bought a whole bunch of restaurant chains at one point in time, and they own them. So, for example, they own all of Long John Silver's and Kentucky Fried Chicken and all of that. Those were all part of the Pepsi family, and so they only serve Pepsi. So they actually had a bigger market share at one point in time than Coca-Cola did, which helped them. People generally don't like Pepsi over the long haul because it is too sweet. So, but they sort of go back and forth. Coke is sort of classic, I guess. Who else? Yes, sir.
We said being first in the industry paves the way that for being number one is mine, and also having top of line quality and innovation, extraordinary entrepreneurship, being a trendsetter, having smart marketing tactics, loyal sponsorships, and a public figure as your spokesperson.
Okay, yeah, you picked up on, you all said unique. That is true. You have to distinguish yourself and differentiate yourself in the marketplace, and that's absolutely critical. Last year at the International Collegiate Sales Competition, the speaker at the awards ceremony said the most important word in business is differentiation, being able to differentiate yourself. Now, I think that's oversimplistic, right? You can be different and you could be really god-awful, right? And that's different than everybody else. And people do actually make money, I guess, somewhat. There are all these disgusting flavors. There was an ice cream store that I saw one time that had really, odd flavors of ice cream. It's different. It's bad. It's differentiated, but I think that is an important aspect. Innovation, I think that's important. The idea that you continually keep up and keep place in the mind of the consumer is absolutely critical. So all this stuff changes. I'm not sure, is Apple all that innovative anymore? Is the new iPhone 6 all that? I still haven't got mine. I don't know what's wrong with that.
They're coming out with Apple Pay though.
Apple Pay, is that going to be all that better? I think that's going to make the phone more attractive?
No, it's the Apple Watch mine.
I don't know. A lot of people are very hesitant to start giving Apple all of their financial information. Disney now does that with the Band. You can load all of your financial stuff, your credit card information, onto the Band, and you can use that at various locations throughout Disney. It just makes it so much easier to pay. All right. Who else? Yes.
We said being consistent is very high on the list. Reliable, innovative, original, unique, creative.
Okay, so you said reliable. What's an iconic brand that's reliable?
Well, like Coke, you can rely on them to be the same every single time and it produces another Coke or Diet Coke or whatever.
McDonald's,
Yes.
right? You can rely on McDonald's to be mediocre, no matter where you're at. It's reliably mediocre, and we like that, don't we? You walk into some mom and pop restaurant when you're traveling, and you have no idea what you're going to get. It could be really, really good, or it could be really god-awful. McDonald's is consistently the same. It's consistently mediocre. I don't think they think it's mediocre, but it is. That's what people like about it. Okay? Yeah.
What we wanted are two big things. If it's like culturally, locally adaptable, like for example, when things are sold in sets of 4 in Japanese, it's considered like unlucky. So some people buy things in sets of 5. So and like color archetypes really matter in different cultures. Like another big thing is the tried and true familiarity and how long the company's been in existence, and generations that have passed on. For example, like the Coca-Cola industry has been around a long time, so great-grandparents and grandparents will drink it and have their kids drink it, and so on and so forth.
Coca-Cola's been the one that hasn't had to change a whole lot. I think I talked about it here. Tupperware, one of the things that Tupperware wanted to do, one of their most popular products is a bread saver box that they manufacture in the United States. What shape is the bread in the United States for the most part? Although we're getting to be more artisan in our tastes and we're allowing for some other stuff. Well, it comes in a loaf, right? It's sort of oblong, rectangular in shape, and that's what they made this bread saver for. When they wanted to market it to India, what did they have to do? They had to make it circular because the bread in India is more of a circle. We're now having more of that influence in our culture, and we see more artisan breads coming out. Even in places like Walmart are now selling artisan bread. But Coca-Cola has manufactured Coca-Cola pretty much the same and shipped it all over the world as is, and not changed it a whole lot other than maybe the spelling and stuff like that, so that people with different characters could understand what it was. All right? Yes.
We said positive awareness of the product, as in like the advertising, showing the logo a lot, that influences the customer. The brand meaning, like the performance and communicating with the customer more often if they have an issue with the product. Customer responses, that means positive feedback from the product. Gaining the customer's attention, so that ties into the individuality of the product.
Okay, I like the fact that you picked up on some kind of service aspect of it, right? It's not just the selling mentality where we make a sale and move on to the next. It is some sort of brand loyalty and keeping up with that, okay? All of these are good ideas? Yes?
Yeah, we got service and product quality, uniqueness, consistency, leadership, kind of like a face of your product, like Steve Jobs or something. Brand recognition, competitiveness, and effective advertisements.
Okay, so you think that advertising actually plays a big role in keeping it. At this point in time, is Coke going to get any more of the market share from advertising in the United States? Probably not. Why do they continue to advertise? Yeah, I think it's just to stay relevant with people, right? And that's why they continue to advertise. Because are they really going to grow? Is Walmart really going to expand that much more? No, probably not, you know, in terms of the United States expansion. They're now having to go overseas in order to expand. They've sort of become the 300-pound man, right? My ex-wife used to love these films or these shows on the grossly overweight. Have any of you seen these? I really hate these shows like Intervention and stuff like that. Well, at some point in time, it would be really easy for any of you to gain a lot of weight by intaking calories. But at some point, you just can't consume any more calories to gain that much weight, pound over pound. It just becomes impossible. That's sort of what Walmart has become. They've become the 300-pound gorilla. There's not a lot of room for them to grow in terms of their market share, in my opinion. But they still advertise. Why? To stay relevant in the market and consumer public, so that they don't lose market share.
We put positive public perception, good reputation, listens to consumers, and a good brand name. We put quality, credibility, makes a good product, improves on the product, with superiority in the market, stands out amongst like other products, and then psychological connection, like an unspoken bond between the consumer.
Okay, reputation is enormously important. In fact, brands are the one type of intellectual property, and we'll talk about this more in just a minute, that are different from the other two major types of intellectual property in that they don't extinguish. And the reason that they don't extinguish is because that is what we are protecting, is we are protecting this reputation, this goodwill that the company has built up over time. The other two major types of intellectual property are copyright and trademark, or copyright and patent, and they both expire at some point in time. Now when, with copyright, is sort of questionable because Disney keeps getting Congress to extend the copyright on Mickey Mouse so that he doesn't go into the public domain. And we're not talking about the Mickey that we all know today, we're talking about the Steamboat Willie Mickey, about 15 years ago, he was about to go into the public domain. Michael Eisner went balls to the wall, got Congress to issue a new Copyright Act that extended the copyright protection for authors of works to keep Disney's copyright on Steamboat Willie still active. But reputation is an enormously important part. And that, unlike trademark, or unlike patent and copyright, doesn't expire unless your brand becomes generic. Okay, who else?
We have a brand must have personality and brand equity or to be great. The personality of the brand has to be relatable and have traits that go with it. Brand equity provides a competitive advantage. For example, Cooperman sells well because they have best and most fresh quality. And also we have for brand being great, it has to have high performance and brand imagery. A brand must perform and provide the quality of advertising.
Okay, so you picked up on something that's called anthropomorphism. Do any of you know what anthropomorphism is? What's anthropomorphism?
Putting characteristics into an object.
Yeah, putting human characteristics into an inanimate or a non-human object is anthropomorphic. So we do this with brands. We say that they have a personality. Do brands really have a personality? Can something that's inanimate have a personality? Well, we sort of think that they do. And I think that's important, that we identify with them in sort of a relationship in a very kind of human way, right? As part of our culture, these symbols, and those are all important things in terms of branding. All right, did I get everybody? Is there any? Yes, sir.
We said they had to have effective placement. Anywhere you go,
Okay.
you're going to see it.
So that's location. Absolutely. Yeah. So being everywhere. Does Rolex want to be everywhere? No. They want to be what? Exclusive distribution. So you think placement is critical. I think that's absolutely. In a highly technological age, since you all came up with placement, how do you get to the place where you want to be? Okay.
So Rolex only do it on, say, a Amazon website or something like that.
Product placement is actually huge now in terms of everything, and they pay big money to have products placed. It's not just generic products, right? In television shows and stuff like that, people pay big money to have their products mentioned, put in to television, movies, things like that. What about games? Yeah, product placement is huge. All right, did I get everybody? Yes.
I wanted to touch on the personality. A lot of times, the brand slogan gives it its personality.
I'm loving it. Nike, just do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's true. And that's part of the brand image, isn't it? Is the slogan, the tagline that they have, the hashtag, is part of that personality. All right, did I get everybody? Okay. I will start. So I think you all got a lot of what scholars say makes a brand great. So what is a brand? A brand is a name, a term, a sign, a symbol, a design that identifies the goods or services of a seller. And again, we protect these through trademark. This is what I did when I was an attorney in the corporate world. I did trademark. And so you go to the USPTO. USPTO.gov, and you can do a trademark search. So you go to trademarks, and then it will allow you to search so you can see if you can protect your trademark. You can't protect, obviously, Coca-Cola because it's already what? Trademarked by somebody else, right? So you have to have your own. This is one of the ones that I did, was called Advancer. It's one that I filed for the American Education Corporation. And we actually got this on the principal register, which is where you want to be. You You want to be on the principal register because you get the highest level of protection. And the way you get there is by having a brand that is really unique. Some brands can lose protection if they become generic for something. So you have to walk this fine line. You want your brand to be recognizable, but if it becomes a generic for an entire class of products, it may lose its trademark protection. So what does Coca-Cola, for example, do forever to protect their trademark? What is it if you go to a restaurant and you say, give me a Coke, they'll say what? Yeah, is Pepsi okay? If they don't, Coca-Cola will come in and absolutely slam you because they do not want their product to become a generic for carbonated, caramelized beverage, right? If you do, you can lose the trademark. That's the one way that you lose trademark protection, is if your brand becomes generic. So Xerox used to be the #1 brand of copiers. And people used to say, when I was a kid growing up, they used to say, go make me a Xerox of this. And by that, they meant a photocopy. Xerox no longer has the lion's share of the market, but at the time they did. And so Xerox came out with this whole ad campaign that said, you cannot Xerox a Xerox on a Xerox, but you can make a copy on a Xerox copier, because they didn't want it to become generic. So you want brands to have this strong brand name. The more fanciful the brand, the more likely it is to gain strong protection. Coca-Cola actually starts out as a descriptive brand. And descriptive brands don't get protection unless they acquire secondary meaning in the minds of the consuming public. So why was Coca-Cola initially a descriptive brand? Because it contained cocaine, and it was a what? Cola, which is by definition a caramelized carbonated beverage. So it was a descriptive brand. So brands provide a mental connection in the mind of the consumer that we associate with certain products. So you all talked a lot about this, about the original, the feelings that you have when you have a Coke, when you share a Coke. And it distinguishes the product from other services and other providers in the industry or field. And positive brand management can lead to company performance, enhanced company performance, so it's important. So what makes the brand great? According to Turley and Moore, and this is a test question on the third exam, there are a number of characteristics that make a brand great. First, it should be short. Why should it be short? It's easy to remember, which is another characteristic. If it's short, it's easy to remember. So what are some short brands that are easy to remember?
Nike.
Nike. Dell. What else? Is McDonald's short?
Apple.
It's one word, Apple. Right? It should be easy to spell. It should be distinctive. What's distinctive about the Coca-Cola brand? I used to do this experiment in my principal's class where I would have a student come up, I'd blindfold them, and I'd take out of a bag a Coca-Cola bottle, and I would hand it to them and ask them what they were holding. And overwhelmingly, they always got that it was a Coca-Cola bottle, right? What is Coca-Cola has trademarked? That's trade dress, and you can get protection on that as well. So what's unique about the Coca-Cola bottle? It's the shape, right, of the Coca-Cola bottle. What else is unique? The what? The red label, the cursive script that they use, things like that. So it should be distinctive. It should not carry any negative associations. Now this can be tricky because brands over time can develop negative associations.
Like childhood obesity would be like with Coke
With McDonald's. What else is an example of brands carrying negative? There's a huge one in sports. Which team is it that is now undergoing a lot of criticism for their name? The Redskins. Is that a negative association? To a lot of people, it's now become a negative association. 30 years ago, was it a negative association? No? Why?
Just the culture that you're in.
Yeah, we were far less culturally aware 30 years ago of what we were doing to people in terms of their perception of their ethnic or cultural group. What about Aunt Jemima? You think that they would come out with Aunt Jemima today? What was the original Aunt Jemima label? If we look at that, what was the character of Aunt Jemima? It was the Mammy character from Gone with the Wind, basically. Right? What is it now? What have they done to try it? It's still out there. I'm not sure that, I don't think they'd come up with this label today. But what does she look like today? She's a far more contemporary looking woman, right? Betty Crocker has changed over time as a result of sort of the negative connotations. Most women are not doing what anymore? They're not baking and staying at home and being housewives, right? They're actually, so there's a much more contemporary image. So it should not carry any negative associations. There are 5 types of brands. Actually, I come up with a 6th that I add to the typology, and that is the test question. There are descriptive brands. Now, the nice thing about descriptive brands is it gives the consumer some idea of what the product is. The bad part about descriptive brands is you may not gain protection on the principal register if it's purely descriptive, unless your brand, like Coca-Cola, gains some connection in the mind of the consumer. There are person-based brands. Where do we see person-based brands? Well, obviously Dell is a person-based brand. Who's it named after? Michael Dell is the founder of it. Adidas, Nike is named after the founder of Nike. Designer clothes, lots of designers. Donna Karan, Tommy Hilfiger, Ralph Lauren, right? What's wrong with having a name-based? So like Martha Stewart took her brand public, and it was Martha Stewart Omni Media. What's wrong with having a person-based brand?
They get in trouble.
Yeah, Martha went to jail, right? Did it affect her brand?
Yes.
I don't know.
There's no steroid stuff for like $1,000.
It affected it by making it probably worth a little bit more for a while. And then
Yeah, maybe. The person could die, and then what happens to your, if Martha's dead, is Martha Stewart living still relevant?
No, they know that she's not making this.
Yeah, I don't know. Dell Computers, if he dies, I don't think it makes a big deal, because I don't think people necessarily associate Dell with the person anymore. It's just a computer company, right?
Well, I mean, with Michael Jackson, that changed after he died. All his, there's still stuff being sold, and he's still making money out of all the songs that people keep buying, and it still goes back to the family and everything else.
Yeah, of course, again, he had a lot of problems with his reputation at one point in time for his involvement with children, and that did that damage his brand at all? I think during the trial it certainly did, and I'm not sure that it's recovered fully from that. Associative brands. Things like International Grocers Association, which you don't see a whole lot of anymore because Walmart has pretty much taken over the grocery business. But if you go to little towns, you see IGAs. Those are an associative brand. Geographic reference brands. These are not necessarily mutually exclusive categories. You can see them combined. So you might have geographic reference along with alphanumeric, which is another category of brands. So things like banks. First State Bank, First National Bank. Bank First started out, they are a compilation of all of the First National Banks in Oklahoma, and so they changed it. They bought up all of these First National Banks, and they became Bank First. There's one brand category that I added in a paper that I wrote and was published, and that is theme-based branding. I think theme-based branding is extremely important. What's an example of a theme-based brand? How about Frontier City? What's the theme? Wild West. What does the Wild West have to do with the child's amusement park? Well, nothing, but it's part of our heritage, I guess, for about 30 seconds in Oklahoma. Right? So branding is enormously important. We'll talk in a minute about what you need to do to keep a brand relevant, but I want you to consider this, and we may run out of time, so I might have to pick this up next Tuesday.
Welcome back, dear business traveler. I have crossed the Atlantic and are now outside Washington, D.C. 55 years ago, right here, would have been the lobby of the very first Marriott Hotel. What started right here is now a chain of more than 3,000 hotels worldwide. And right at the top of Marriott, today, it's all changed. Today is Bill Marriott's 80th birthday. He's been in the hospitality business for 55 years and is now stepping down as the chief executive of Marriott. Handing over the mantle to the chief operating officer, Arnie Sorensen.
I have said for years to friends, any of the person who tries to follow Bill Marriott, he's an icon of the industry. He's an enormous teacher and mentor to me, as he is to so many across the industry.
I met Bill Marriott at the company's headquarters, where he reflected on a lifetime's work and those who've been along for the ride.
What did you say when I told you I was going to become executive chairman and this got too big and too complex for me?
I said, you created it. It's all your fault.
The Marriott story begins in 1927, when the American entrepreneur J.W. Marriott opened his root beer stand in Washington, D.C. 3 decades later, he opened his first hotel.
Here's my dad and mom.
Right.
The first hotel. He built the biggest motor hotel in the world. And when he opened it, it didn't do very well. I just joined the company out of the Navy. I've been in the company 6 months. I said, why don't you let me take a hand at running this thing? He said, you don't know anything about the hotel business. I said, well, that's right, I don't, but neither does anybody else around here. So I can't do any worse than we're doing. So we got the second hotel open in Washington, and the third hotel opened later. And all of a sudden, I figured out we'd make more money in the hotel business than we ever would in the restaurant business.
What's the one thing that has surprised you most?
The fact that we could grow from one hotel to 3,700 hotels, that really shocked me. I thought, you know, it took us 7 years to build 5 hotels, and I thought, well, maybe we'll get to 10 or 15.
And at what point did you look over your shoulder and think, ooh, well, where did that all come from?
Every day.
The rapid growth was achieved with a formula that has come to define today's hotel industry. Many brands, all under one umbrella.
1981, we had a lot of big box hotels, big city hotels. Somebody said, you know, we're going to run out of great locations where we can build these big hotels. We got to do something to grow the company. And let's go and build a hotel for the businessman. We did $1 million worth of research. We asked our customers, what do you want in a hotel? They said a better room at a lower price. I said to our people, are you kidding me? You mean we spent $1 million to find out people want a better room at a lower price? So we built one. We built a 150-room courtyard in downtown and in the suburbs of Atlanta.
And then on it goes from the courtyard, Fairfield, and then you add in Ritz-Carlton.
That's right, yeah. We have 18 different brands.
Too many?
No, we keep adding. We just added AC hotels in Europe. If we find another niche for a brand, we'll develop another brand.
The job of creating that next brand falls on the company's new CEO, Arnie Sorensen. His task is to keep the Marriott giant moving with the times.
What we see as the future of the core Marriott full-service hotel is a place that obviously provides a great night's sleep, it provides a comfortable room, but it also provides public space which can welcome people and which can invite them to re-inhabit the lobby. Customers are saying it's no longer enough for me to have a great night's sleep in a big room and in a clean room. I want my senses excited in some way.
Exciting the senses in that way demands a new brand and a controversial move for Marriott. Partnering with Ian Schrager, celebrated arbiter of cool, credited with inventing the boutique hotel concept. The Paramount, the Mondrian, the Sanderson, the Hudson, the Gramercy Park, and now, in this unlikely partnership with Marriott, comes Edition. The idea is to kind of rethink the hotel business and doing the same thing I did 25 years ago when we invented the boutique hotel.
That's the point. 25 years ago, you invented the boutique hotel. It's been done. So what are you going to add to it this time?
This is not a boutique hotel as such. That was a different animal that we created. But the whole idea of doing a hotel is supposed to manifest popular culture and who we are today in the same way people do with cars and technology and movies and theater and music. It's the same kind of thing in popular culture updated.
Okay, so what do we now want today?
We want something very unassuming and very comfortable. We're not looking for design on steroids. We're looking for good old-fashioned, good taste and good style and great service at a reasonable value. Together, Schrager and Marriott hope to achieve what has so far eluded the big hotel companies, with the exception of Starwood's W, the lifestyle of boutique, without compromising the good night's sleep.
What's happened in this space broadly is that the folks who are delivering this lifestyle experience are not also delivering great customer service. Even Ian would say the great hotels that he started in the early 80s and continued in the 90s offered a wonderful design and a wonderful nightlife, but a lousy night's sleep.
The message echoes clearly from both camps. No more style over substance. Out with design on steroids. In with style and comfort.
So, as I've asked you before, will you have a chair that's comfortable that I can sit in?
Oh, good point. Because you know me and my chair. No three-legged chair.
No three-legged chairs.
No tricks.
No tricks.
A
chair I can sit in.
And comfortable.
I'm comfortable.
Working. You can work in it.
And the desk that I have.
Good reading it and good lighting. Those are the things.
Have you grown up?
I think I've grown up. The brand launched last year with hopes to grow the concept quickly into a chain of dozens of locations.
You've sold out. A chain. Marriott. You would have walked over hot coals rather than done a deal with a chain.
I would have walked over hot coals rather than to sell out. But what Marriott offers me was something that I couldn't really do before. So to me, it's the opposite of selling out. It's like, hey, let's come up with this great idea and let's keep it to ourselves as a family and do it. Coming up after the break, a good night's sleep with a Hollywood star, Richard Gere. His bed and breakfast.